So today I want to talk to you about my iOS project. And so what I did initially to start it, I looked at the HER-Path chart and determined that the best way to sort of approach that was to put myself in the patient's shoes. What I thought I would do is, in order to find out where the gaps were in the patient's spectrum of care, to spend some time doing a preceptorship with each discipline. So I spent, the first one was surgery, and I went and I was lucky enough to spend the day with Dr. Doug Mursky in the OR, which was great. I was able to see sentinel nodes, mastectomy, and lymph node dissection, because that's where I thought sort of where the patient started. But what I come to realize by the end of the day, that's not where the patient's first path was, that it was at the Women's Breast Health Center. So I got the opportunity to go to the Women's Breast Health Center, and I got to meet Dr. Angel Arnaud, and Jennifer Smiley. And I asked them a little bit about what the Women's Breast Health Center was all about. And they were telling me that it serves the Ottawa area and the Champlain-Lynn, which encompasses from Pembroke to Hawkesbury, Cornwall, Brockville. And so they see all those patients. So they do probably one of the most imaging across Canada. So they do like 11,000 mammograms, they do 6,000 ultrasounds, and they do 2,000 image-guided biopsies per year. So, and 40% of those usually are diagnosed with a breast cancer. So one of the other things that they mentioned to me was the discrepancy in the wait times. For example, like across Canada. For example, PMH in Toronto and Ville-Marie in Montreal both have wait times, or their diagnosis, same-day diagnosis, whereas Mount St. Joseph in BC and the Nova Scotia Cancer Agency have wait times of 6 to 13 days. So what they did is they did a snapshot of the last, say, 6 months and what they did is they reviewed any patient that had a BIRAD5 tumor. BIRAD5 tumor is a highly suspicious tumor for cancer, and 90% of those tumors are usually a cancer, and locally advanced breast cancer is in that grouping. So what it showed is from initial imaging, there was a wait time of 3 weeks, and if at that time that it was cancer and they had to do an MRI, tack on another 20 days to that. So in order to improve patient care, the multidisciplinary team at the Women's Breast Health Center got together and they came up with a proposal to pilot BIRAD5 patients that would come in and have their diagnosis, or not their diagnosis, but their imaging, and have their diagnosis within a 5-day period. So I felt that what needed to happen is they needed to present this proposal to the breast disease site group, because it was very important that the medical oncologist, the radiation oncologist, and everybody was on board. And the feedback was tremendous. So I felt that it fit perfectly with the objectives of the breast business unit, with following their patient's path from diagnosis through their whole spectrum of care with the least amount of gaps as possible. And what's in it for us? Well, first of all, rapid diagnosis, so the patients are HER2 positive, are put on their Herceptin quicker. Therefore, they're able to get their 18 cycles in that 12-month period. If they're HER2 negative and metastatic, then they have the opportunity of going on to Avastin quicker. And of course, better relationships with the breast disease site group and the Women's Breast Health Center. So it's a win-win situation for both.